Good evening. Thank you for joining us. This is the news at 7 on NTA International. We're live here in Abuja. I'm Ruth, Aguele. Let's bring you the headlines. Nigeria and Bangladesh resolve to deepen bilateral ties in critical economic sectors. Federal government approves expansion of various intervention programs. And Nigeria to get national carrier in 2021 as more ministries, departments and agencies defend their budget at the National Assembly. Nigeria and Bangladesh have resolved to deepen the highly beneficial and mutually rewarding relationship between the two countries in critical economic sectors. Well, this was when President Muhammadu Buhari received the outgoing High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Nigeria, Shamin Ashan. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo brings us details.
It was a virtual farewell audience for the outgoing High Commissioner of Bangladesh to Nigeria, Shamin Ashan. President Muhammadu Buhari congratulated the envoy on the strides attained at enhancing bilateral relations between the two countries. Nigeria, he said, will continue to expand on achievements recorded so far, especially in agriculture, military cooperation, and many other areas for the greater good of all. The outgoing High Commissioner, Shamin Ashan, thanked Nigeria for the support he received in about 2.5 years he spent in the country. He noted with satisfaction that during the period, bilateral relations between the two countries improved tremendously, with many memoranda of understanding signed and others still in the works. He said over 60 delegates visited Nigeria from Bangladesh for different purposes during his tour of duty. As he puts it, I and my wife will surely miss beautiful Nigeria. Nigeria and Bangladesh established diplomatic relations in the mid-70s and share membership of several international organizations like the Commonwealth, D8 countries, and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, OIC. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
The 2021 budget of the Federal Ministry of Aviation will mainly focus on the sustenance of growth in the sector and the establishment of Nigeria's national carrier. Minister of Aviation Hadi Sirika stated this when he appeared before the Senate Committee on Aviation to defend the ministry's 2021 budget. Let's get more details from Ignatius Unkwa.
The Minister of Aviation led management of agencies under the ministry to the budget defense meeting. 78.9 billion naira has been earmarked for capital expenditure at the headquarters, which will be channeled towards achieving federal government's aviation roadmap.
Now, some of these major roadmap programs include the establishment of national carrier, establishment of aerospace university with support of international civil aviation organizations.
The committee commended the federal government for what it described as an efficient job done at the Akanubiam International Airport, Enugu, and advised that such should be replicated across the country, especially the runways and lighting systems.
Quite a number of our airports are porous. There's still a lot of them that are porous. We are making these observations before we start doing the surgical operation, when the committee will sit down. That some of the airports are porous, we hope they are accommodated.
We don't have the resources to do it all at once. We're attending to them. We look at an airport, we find which is that safety item and which is that item of security that needs attention first before we now tend to other matters.
2021 budget scrutiny continued as the Minister of Niger Delta Affairs, Senator Godswill Akpabio, appeared before the Senate Committee on Niger Delta Affairs to defend the ministry's 2021 budget of 26.5 billion naira, with 19.5 billion to be spent on infrastructure.
But significantly, Mr. Chairman, you will notice that we have devoted the largest chunk of the budget towards the East-West Road.
The Federal Fire Service and the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps also presented their 2021 budgets before the Senate Committee on Interior, which received express consideration to enable the security agencies focus on the ongoing security challenges in parts of the country. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Unkwo, NTA News.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed has also presented a budget proposal of over 7.2 billion naira for the year 2021 to the House of Representatives Committee on Information, National Orientation, Ethics and Value. Anthony Forson reports.
The over 7.2 billion naira budget proposal summary excluded the culture sector, which will be handled by the House Committee on Culture. The information sector, with a budget line and amount proposed, personnel will go 4.9 billion naira, overhead 900,507,000 naira, while capital, as related to information sector, has 1.9 billion naira. For capital, common to both information and culture, 380,534,000 is proposed. Explaining to members of the House Committee, Lai Mohammed said there is the need to step up enlightenment campaign on federal government's policies and programs through a multifaceted approach, given its core mandate.
Appreciating the fact that even though there is a marginal increase in the allocation to the ministry and its agencies this year, there is a far cry.
On projects and activities for the year 2020, the minister said out of the 1 billion, 13 million appropriated for capital expenditure, 1 billion, 1,677,000 was released, while 105 million was also released for special enlightenment campaign on government programs and policies. Institutional interaction with stakeholders got 121,878,000 released. In all these releases and explanations by the minister, members sought to know the state of misinformation and why fake news seems to be thriving. But the minister was quick to respond.
We're not complaining about social media. We are complaining about the unbridled, unregulated social media. We are looking at the negative aspect of social media. So please don't misunderstand us. Nobody wants to shut down social media. Nobody wants to abolish social media because, like rightly said, it's the fastest means of disseminating news, but it's also the most dangerous means of disseminating fake news.
Chairman of the committee, Segun Odebumi, on behalf of other members, commended the minister for doing so much with little funding.
Ministry of Information and its agency are expected to be on top of their duties in ensuring proper, effective and timely dissemination of information as regards government activities.
He noted that efforts will be intensified for more funding to the ministry, given its statutory role in managing the image and reputation of the people and government of Nigeria. From the National Assembly, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the expansion of the various federal government intervention programs to accommodate more youths, women and other vulnerable groups in the country. Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, stated this at a town hall meeting with stakeholders in Zamfara State. Sadia Abubakar has more.
The Minister for Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk's engagement with stakeholders in her home state, Zamfara, is primarily aimed at identifying and articulating various humanitarian and developmental challenges in the state, occasioned by armed banditry and the COVID-19 for appropriate action. Issues related to the prevailing security challenges in the state dominated submissions by various stakeholders at the event.
Most of the complaints we receive from the security agencies is lack of accessibility to the remote areas where these bandits hide.
Our request to Baba Buhari, if there is more palliative, please bring it down to Zamfara State. We tell you how to share it.
The stakeholders who largely appreciated President Muhammadu Buhari for initiating various intervention programs that are geared towards alleviating the suffering of the masses, however, advocated for special consideration to Zamfara State in view of the monumental damage done to socio-economic fortunes of the state by the activities of armed bandits over the past 1 decade.
I must reiterate our commitment to supporting the state government in addressing the challenges of economic vulnerability in Zamfara State. This we are very committed to. The ministry will continue its partnership with the state government to implement humanitarian, social inclusion, and protection measures in our state.
The minister, who also had similar interaction exclusively with members of Zamfara State Council of Chiefs at Government House Gusau, said all the issues raised at the two forums would be forwarded to the relevant authorities for appropriate action. In Gusau, Sadia Abubakar Tino, NTA News.
Some hoodlums have invaded the NYC FCT orientation camp in Kubwa here in Abuja. Olainka Ojo reports that this is happening with less than 2 weeks to the reopening of camps across the country.
The NYC orientation camp in Kubwa is the latest public place to be invaded and vandalized by hoodlums who had hijacked the NSAS protest to loot and perpetrate mayhem. The hoodlums broke the stores and carted away NYC kits, mattresses and other camp facilities.
The youth claim they are hunting for palliatives. NYC camps, we don't have palliatives in our camps. We are preparing for resumption for orientation, and that's what we are doing. So please, we are appealing to Nigerians youth not to attack our camps. We don't have any palliative there. Please. So you can imagine the youth here carted away with our uniform. It is illegal for you to use NYC uniform. And if you are caught, you go to jail for 3 years. So we want to appeal to those that have carted our uniforms, so please return them.
Some of the hoodlums were, however, caught by security operatives and handed over to the police for prosecution, as directed by the FCT minister. Olainka Ojo, NTA News.
Yesterday is past and tomorrow is the future, but when the past is not conserved, evidence is lost. It is against this background that the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization is canvassing the collection and conservation of audiovisual heritage globally. In this report, Ademola Brooksland Sunday takes a look at the need to preserve the heritage that brings people's cultures and sensibilities together.
Climax of Independence Day was reached.
Memories like the independence ceremony in Nigeria, establishment of first TV outfits in the country, how Nigerian flag was designed by Pataiwo Akinkunmi would have been an unbelievable stories without records. Realizing the resultant atrocities of the Second World War, when all assets stored in different files scattered around the world, the World Day for Audiovisual Heritage was established for the preservation of these records. UNESCO says it will take more than 10 years to safely store all the audiovisual heritage in the world. These audiovisual archives, such as films, radio and TV programs, audio and video recording, no doubt help people to understand their history.
They bear witness to the political, economic, social and cultural events.
Garba Umar is the manager production services of the NTA with about 20 years of experience.
The issue of transition from one format to another had to be brought to make sure that we lose nothing in the process of transition. Management is doing a lot by providing us with machines to transfer. We have tapes, and then they've been supplying us with space, because you know the issue of conversion needs space.
I was led to the National Film and Video Censors Board's library, housing about 30,000 film and video in CDs and VHS form.
We're still in the process of putting each and every one of it into it. By 2021, we need to do the digitalization and even moving into high cloud. But then it has to be in the budget, because it's not a small project.
UNESCO is also using the day to raise public awareness on the need for heritage conservation, attract media attention to issues of heritage, and highlights the audiovisual heritage in danger, especially in developing countries. Currently, the Audiovisual Library of UNESCO has about 6,400 hours of historical contents in 35, 16, and 8 minutes, and about 50,000 hours of video stored in its off-site archives. Adebola, Brooksland Sunday, NTA News.
That's a lot indeed, but let's go on a break. We'll be back. Stay tuned.
The demands of #EndSARS movement, immediate release of all arrested protesters, justice for all deceased victims of police brutality and appropriate compensation for their families, setting up an independent body to oversee the investigation and prosecution of all reports of police misconduct within 10 days. In line with the new Police Act, psychological evaluation and retraining to be confirmed by an independent body of all disbanded SARS officers before they can be redeployed. Increase police salary so that they are adequately compensated for protecting the lives and property of citizens. Federal government's response. On 11th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police dissolved the Special Anti-Robbery Squad, SARS, across the 36 states police commands and the Federal Capital Territory. On October 12th, President Muhammadu Buhari addressed the nation, stating the disbanding of SARS is only the first step in our commitment to extensive police reforms. On 13th October 2020, the Inspector General of Police ordered all defunct SARS personnel to report at Force Headquarters, Abuja, for debriefing as well as psychological and medical examination. On 13th October 2020, the Presidential Panel on the Reform of SARS accepted the 5-point demand of the #EndSARS protesters. On 15th October 2020, the National Economic Council, NEC, directed the immediate establishment of state-based judicial panels of inquiry across the country to receive and investigate complaints of police brutality, related extrajudicial killings with a view to delivering justice for all victims of the dissolved SARS and other police units. State governors should immediately establish state-based special security and human rights committees to be chaired by governors in their state and to supervise the newly formed police tactical units and all other security agencies located in the state. This will ensure the protection of citizens' human rights. Members will also include representatives of youth and civil society as well as head of police tactical units in each of the states.
Issa too like football on Top Go TV, so they him forget say him be best man for him party wedding. Amaka disappoint her bobo all because of football. Kola and him family suppose come out, but then gas change plans because for this new football season, Go TV get correct football action wey make sense. Get Go TV decoder wey come with 1 month Go TV Max subscription for only 9,500 naira. Go TV, live it.
What does it take to get ahead in today's world? To get your dream job, the perfect girl, even a table at your favorite dance club. It takes moving fast. It takes moving at the speed of 4G. With Intel 4G LTE, you've got it all covered. That's because you have access to super fast unlimited data that enables you move as fast as the speed of light. Now, no download is too heavy, no conversation too long. Nothing is impossible. Get Intel 4G LTE Advanced today and do so much more. Intel. Live more.
Thank you for being there. Well, Nigerians are hereby being informed that there is no scarcity of petrol in the country and therefore should stop panic buying of the product. Now, this was the position of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation at the seminar organized by the Bureau of Public Service Reform in Abuja. Adebola Brookslyn Sunday brings us details.
The petroleum sector has been a major driver of Nigeria's economy. This edition of monthly launch seminar by the Bureau is coming at a time consumers of petrol are panic buying as a result of non-availability of the product in many filling stations. General Manager Corporate Planning and Strategy of NNPC, Orisemenyiwa Eyewa, said the challenge is as a result of the nationwide NSAS protests.
I'm sure we are all aware the custom building was burnt. We are aware that Lagos was in flames on Tuesday last week. And that meant that port operations were affected. It's not that we don't have products. Today, we are holding so much stock. So we are still bringing in ships. We have enough stock to last for over a week. So we are very, very rest assured that it's not a supply problem.
Director General of the Bureau, Dasuki Ibrahim Arabi, who spoke on the current reforms in the petroleum sector and their impacts on Nigeria, the role of NNPC, wants quick implementation of some proposed steps to move the petroleum sector forward.
Passage of the petroleum industry bill into law as soon as practicable, rehabilitation of the nation's 4 refineries so that they can begin to function at 100% capacity, promotion of increased investment and development of the energy sector industry with substantial private sector participation.
The forum also appreciated the President for the opportunity accorded to the Bureau to serve as the institutional platform for sustainable reform implementation and coordination in the country. Adebola Brooklyn Sunday, NTA News.
In a related development, fuel scarcity, which seems to have been drowned by water of oblivion as a result of good governance, is gradually resurfacing at filling stations. Kunle Adeyeye monitored the situation in the FCT.
The nationwide protests calling for the disbandment of the Special Anti-Robbery Squad almost put the nation's economy on hold. With the tension being doused, fuel scarcity returns. Motorists are becoming frustrated with the latest developments. All they want is solution.
It's so terrible. I've been here since 7 a.m. and I think it's almost 11, if I'm not mistaken. And I'm just entering the filling station.
I didn't even know. I woke up this morning to see this one. We didn't even know that something of this nature is going on. When I came here and I had to buy, queue full everywhere. You can see there is so many distant pumps here, but it's only 2 distant are operating.
I spent like 4 hours now on this queue coming up. We will be very grateful if the fuel will be available.
We are just suffering because there are some business people that they use fuel in their business. And if there's no fuel, your business will be shut down.
Does the current situation have any connection with the protests?
One is the issue of loading from Lagos. Because of this crisis, most of the truck owner or even the depot are not working. So for almost 2 to 3 days, 4 days, there's no loading in Lagos. So that's what caused these issues. But according to information I got yesterday, they have started loading yesterday in Lagos. So probably in the next 2-3 days, everything will go out. The issue of this queue will go, by the grace of God.
One issue which has always been synonymous with fuel scarcity is selling the products in containers. This, many believe, is not environmentally friendly. In Abuja, Kunle Adeyeye, NTA News.
Let's bring you a COVID-19 update. World Health Organization urges countries not to give up as COVID-19 pandemic resurges just as anti-lockdown protests erupt in Italy and Spain with thousands taken to streets. Joyce Ametu brings us the global update.
The World Health Organization is urging countries not to give up in the fight against coronavirus as cases surge once again, stressing the need for mask wearing, physical distancing and other measures to avoid the kind of full-scale lockdowns that were imposed earlier this year. This came as police in Italy fired tear gas to disperse angry crowds after protests against the latest rounds of anti-coronavirus restrictions fled into violence. There were also street clashes in Spain, where hundreds of people gathered in the center of Barcelona on Monday evening to protest against the government's latest COVID-19 restrictions. Meanwhile, Russia has brought in tighter measures to stem a surge in coronavirus cases. On Tuesday, Russia reported a daily record of 320 deaths from the virus and a record of 17,347 new cases in 24 hours. Johns Hopkins coronavirus database as at 6 p.m. local time revealed that of the 43,952,991 cases registered globally, 32,285,957 patients have recovered, while 1,166,886 deaths are recorded. Africa has reported 1,740,672 cases with 41,700 fatalities. Back home, 119 persons tested positive for coronavirus in Nigeria Monday, as total confirmed cases exceeded 62,000. Nigeria also recorded 2 new deaths, taking the fatality figure to 1,132. The country's Center for Disease Control said 57,571 patients have so far been discharged from hospitals after treatment. And that's a global update on COVID-19. I am Joyce Ometu.
There is an ongoing stakeholders workshop with a mandate to produce a validate draft of National Cybersecurity Policy 2020. The exercise is carried out every 5 years. The recent national upsurge and looting of public and private treasuries in the pretense of the NSAS protest is one out of many security infractions organized and prosecuted through the cyberspace, hence the need for an upgrade. The workshop, therefore, is to validate the 2014 National Cybersecurity Policy and Strategy 2020 to guide the cyberspace in Nigeria.
Space, like any other domain of our requires trust for it to be fully exploited for the benefit of our people and indeed for the benefit of our society.
Areas of interest are regulation of standards, certification and raising digital literate Nigerians for optimal cybersecurity. President Muhammadu Buhari has condoled and prayed God's comfort and succor for former Lagos State Military Administrator and All Progressives Congress stalwart Brigadier General Mohammed Buba Marwa on the loss of his younger brother Idris, aged 57. In a statement signed by Special Advisor to the President, Media and Publicity said President Buhari urges the Marwa family to take solace in the fact that all mortals are destined to ultimately return to their Maker, adding that, and I quote, "What will make them matter is how well we have carried out our stewardship on earth, and I believe Idris Marwa played his role well," end of quote. The President asked God to care for the family left by the deceased and that they will receive the fortitude to bear the loss. Idris Marwa, who was a successful businessman in Kaduna, passed on Tuesday after an illness. All right, that's the news. Thank you very much for your time. But remember to connect with NTA, stand against rape and rapists. I'm Ruth Aguele. Bye.